There are certain words that stay with you forever. Not because they are beautiful or profound, but because they cut so deep that the scar never fully heals. For me, those words came from the woman I loved for almost 2 years. "You do not fit my aesthetic." That single sentence changed everything. I thought Selena and I would build a future together. I was wrong. What I did not expect was that the moment I stopped trying to be enough for her, my entire life would shift in ways I never imagined. Before we dive into this story, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you have ever felt like you were not good enough for someone you loved with your whole heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Stay with me until the very end, because this story might just change the way you see your own worth. Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. My name is not important, but who I am matters for this story. I am 28 years old, a software developer working at a mid-sized tech company in Austin, Texas. I make decent money enough to afford a comfortable one-bedroom apartment downtown and save a little each month. Nothing flashy, nothing extraordinary, just a normal life built on hard work and consistency. If you saw me walking down the street, you probably would not look twice. I am average height, keep my dark brown hair short and simple, and my wardrobe consists mostly of jeans, flannel, shirts, and sneakers. I have never been the guy who spends hours picking out outfits or following the latest fashion trends. Comfort over style. That has always been my philosophy. I am also what most people would call an introvert. Friday nights for me usually mean staying home, cooking a meal from scratch, maybe playing guitar in my living room while some old vinyl spins in the background. I have an Instagram account that I created years ago, but I rarely post anything, maybe once or twice a year if that. Social media just never felt like my thing. And then I met Selena. It happened about 2 years ago at a small independent coffee shop in downtown Austin. The kind of place with mismatched furniture, local art on the walls, and baristas who actually remember your name after a few visits. I was there working on some code headphones and completely lost in my own world. Selena was sitting a few tables away. I noticed her because it was impossible not to. She had this presence about her, the kind that made you look twice. Tall and slender, with long chestnut brown hair that fell in natural waves past her shoulders. Every piece of clothing she wore looked intentional, curated, like she had stepped out of a magazine editorial. Even the way she sat with her laptop open seemed deliberate, photogenic. My moment of introduction was far less graceful. I stood up to get a refill and somehow managed to knock my elbow against my own cup, sending coffee splashing dangerously close to her table. I rushed over, apologizing profusely, grabbing napkins, making a complete fool of myself. But she just laughed. Not a mocking laugh, a genuine one. "Do not worry about it," she said, her smile warm. "Honestly, you just made my afternoon more interesting." We started talking. I learned she was 26, a content creator with over 100,000 followers on Instagram. She specialized in lifestyle and fashion content, partnering with brands and attending exclusive events. Her world was so different from mine that it felt almost exotic just hearing her describe it. By the end of that conversation, we had exchanged numbers. She texted me that same night. The first few weeks were magical. There is no other word for it. Selena was attentive, curious, always asking questions about my work, my hobbies, my life. She seemed genuinely fascinated by how different our worlds were. "You are so refreshing," she told me on our first official date, a quiet dinner at a small Italian restaurant. "Most guys I meet are always trying so hard to impress me. You just are who you are." I took that as the highest compliment. Within a month, we were officially together. Selena would come over to my apartment several times a week, saying she loved how peaceful it was compared to her hectic schedule. I would cook for her, play guitar while she curled up on the couch with a glass of wine. She told me no one had ever treated her like that before. I started picturing a future with her, moving in together eventually, maybe marriage someday. I was falling hard and fast, and I thought she was right there with me. But then the small things started adding up. Around 3 months into our relationship, I asked Selena when I would get to meet her friends. She had mentioned them often enough, this group of fellow influencers and content creators who seemed to be constantly attending events and brunches together. I wanted to be part of that world, to show her I could fit into every aspect of her life. Her answer was vague. "Soon, babe." They are just really busy lately. I did not push. I trusted her. What I did notice was that Selena never posted photos of me on her Instagram. This was a woman who documented almost every aspect of her life online, from her morning smoothies, to her outfit choices, to her evening skincare routine. But our relationship existed only in private. When I brought it up, she smiled and said, "I like keeping us just for us. It is more special that way." I wanted to believe her, so I did. Then came her birthday about 6 months into our relationship. Selena was planning a party at a trendy rooftop bar downtown, inviting all her friends. I was excited, thinking this would finally be my chance to meet everyone. Actually, she said when I asked about it, it is more of a girls' thing. You understand, right? I did not understand. But I nodded and said it was fine. That night I stayed home alone while my girlfriend celebrated her birthday surrounded by people I had never met. I tried to distract myself with a movie, but I kept checking her Instagram stories. And there they were, the videos and photos from the party. There were plenty of men there, her photographer friend, a brand manager she worked with, several other male influencers. It was not a girl's thing at all. I felt something crack inside my chest that night, a small fracture that I tried desperately to ignore. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe she just forgot to mention the others would be there. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down I knew something was wrong. The pattern continued over the following months. Every time Selena had an event, a party, a brunch, a photo shoot with friends, I was never included. We only spent time together in private at my apartment or at quiet restaurants where she was unlikely to run into anyone she knew. At first I made excuses for her. She was busy. Her world was complicated. I just needed to be patient. But patience started to feel a lot like acceptance of something I should not be accepting. Whenever we went out together, Selena would find reasons to avoid being photographed with me. "The lighting is terrible in here," she would say, or "I look awful today, let us not." Meanwhile, she would snap dozens of photos of her food, her outfit, the venue, anything except us together. I started feeling like a secret, like something she needed to hide. Yet every time we were alone, she was wonderful, affectionate, loving, telling me how much I meant to her. It was confusing enough to make me question my own perceptions. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe this was just how relationships worked when one person was in the public eye. So I decided the problem must be me. I started buying new clothes, trendy pieces that I saw other guys wearing on Instagram, button-down shirts with patterns I did not particularly like, shoes that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I asked Selena if I should change my hairstyle, try something more modern. She just laughed and told me I was fine the way I was. But if I was fine, why was I still invisible? I joined a gym for the first time in years. I started following fashion accounts on Instagram, trying to decode what made someone look put together. I was slowly dismantling everything about myself that felt authentic, replacing it with pieces I thought might finally make me acceptable. Nothing changed. After about 1.5 years together, I could not take the confusion anymore. One evening after I had cooked dinner for us at my apartment, I sat Selena down and asked her directly. "We have been together for almost 18 months, I said, keeping my voice calm even though my heart was racing. "I have never met a single one of your friends. Not once. Why?" She looked uncomfortable, shifting on the couch. "You are overthinking this." "I am not overthinking. I just want to understand." She grabbed her purse, started gathering her things. "I really do not want to have this conversation right now." I reached for her hand. "Please, just tell me the truth. I deserve that much." She stopped, looked at me for a long moment, and then she said the words that would echo in my mind for months to come. "Fine. You want the truth? I do not bring you around my friends because you do not fit my aesthetic, okay?" The air left my lungs. She kept talking, each sentence another wound. "All my friends are influencers, content creators, people in the industry. They care about image, about branding, about how everything looks. You are a software developer. You wear jeans and flannel shirts. You barely even use Instagram. So you are embarrassed of me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She did not deny it. "I love you. I really do. But there are parts of my life that you would not fit into. It is not personal." "Not personal." Almost 2 years of my life, and it was not personal. She left that night without another word. I sat on my couch for hours staring at the wall, feeling more empty than I had ever felt before. Everything I thought I knew about our relationship, about her feelings for me, about my own worth, all of it crumbled in the space of a single conversation. In the days that followed, Selena texted me like nothing had happened. Good morning messages. Questions about my day. Like she had not just demolished my sense of self-worth in my own living room. I replied, but my responses were short, distant. I could not pretend everything was fine when those words kept playing on repeat in my head. I called my best friend Marcus, someone I had known since college. We met for beers and I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. That is not love, man, he finally said. That is not even close to love. Someone who loves you does not hide you like a dirty secret. Someone who loves you is proud to have you by their side. I knew he was right, but knowing something and feeling it are two very different things. A week later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw Selena's latest post. A group photo at some exclusive event, everyone dressed impeccably, smiling like they had just won the lottery. The caption read, "My people, my vibe, my aesthetic." I stared at that word. Aesthetic. Such a cold, hollow word to build a life around. And somewhere in that moment, staring at that photo, something shifted inside me. Not healing, not yet. But, the beginning of a question. Why was I trying so hard to fit into a world that did not want me? Why was I changing everything about myself for someone who could not accept me as I was? For the first time in months, I felt something other than hurt. I felt angry. Not at Selena, but at myself, for allowing this to go on for so long. I made a decision that night. I was done trying. I did not call Selena to break up with her. I did not send a dramatic text or have a confrontation. I simply stopped. Stopped initiating conversations, stopped making plans, stopped asking about her life, or when I might finally be allowed into it. Selena noticed the change almost immediately. "You have been so distant lately," she texted. "Is everything okay? Just busy with work?" I replied. And that was it. I started reclaiming the parts of myself I had abandoned. The flannel shirts came back out of the closet. The expensive, trendy clothes got donated. I started cooking again, not to impress anyone, just because I genuinely enjoyed it. I picked up my guitar in the evenings and played for hours, something I had barely done since meeting Selena because she always seemed bored by it. I called Marcus and asked if he wanted to go hiking that weekend. It was something we used to do regularly before I started dating Selena, who despised anything outdoors that could not be photographed attractively. That Saturday, standing on a trail overlooking the Texas hill country, breathing in fresh air, I felt more like myself than I had in nearly 2 years. About a week after I started this quiet withdrawal, I decided to attend a tech meetup in Austin. It was the kind of event I used to love before Selena dismissed them as nerdy and boring. A gathering of developers, designers, and startup founders sharing ideas and making connections. That is where I met Haley. She was standing near the refreshment table, holding a glass of sparkling water, and looking slightly amused by something on her phone. Short black hair framed her face, and her smile was the kind that made you want to smile back without knowing why. She was dressed casually, comfortable, clearly not someone who agonized over every outfit choice. We started talking about work. She was a UX designer at a startup passionate about creating products that actually helped people. Our conversation flowed easily, naturally, without any of the pressure I had felt trying to impress Selena's world. "Do you have Instagram?" she asked at some point. I laughed. "Technically, yes. But I maybe post twice a year," she grinned. "Same. I find the whole curating a perfect life thing absolutely exhausting." We exchanged phone numbers, not Instagram handles. It felt refreshingly honest. A few days later, I asked Haley if she wanted to grab dinner. She suggested a small ramen shop she loved. Nothing fancy, just good food and good conversation. The date was everything my time with Selena had not been. Relaxed, genuine, we talked about our families, our dreams, our failures. She told me about her dog named Biscuit, and her goal to someday open her own design studio. I told her about my love of cooking, and the guitar song I had been trying to master for months. When we said goodbye that night, she smiled and said, "This was really fun." "I would love to do it again," I agreed immediately. What I did not know then was that Haley had her own following online. She was a respected voice in the design community, with over 200,000 followers on a professional platform. But she never mentioned it because to her, It was not the most interesting thing about herself. It was just part of her work. Our second date was at a cozy cafe with live acoustic music. We were laughing about something when a young woman approached our table, recognizing Haley from her online presence. She asked for a photo, and Haley graciously agreed. "This is my date," Haley said, pulling me into the frame without hesitation. "He is the reason I am smiling so much tonight." The woman snapped the photo, thanked us, and left. I felt something warm spreading through my chest, something I had not felt in a long time. The simple act of being included, of being acknowledged publicly, meant more than I could express. I did not think much about that photo afterward, but the woman posted it on her Instagram, tagging Haley with a caption about running into her at the cafe with her new guy. The post got shared, people commented, and among those who saw it were Selena's friends, because, as it turned out, Haley was exactly the kind of person Selena's crowd followed and admired. 2 weeks after I had stopped trying with Selena on a quiet Saturday evening, my doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Selena standing there. Her eyes were red and swollen, mascara streaked down her cheeks, looking nothing like the perfectly curated image she presented to the world. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice breaking. I hesitated, but stepped aside to let her in. She collapsed onto my couch, crying harder now. Through the tears, the story came out in fragments. Her friends had sent her the photo of me and Haley. They had recognized me as the mysterious boyfriend Selena never talked about. "Haley Martin," she said, almost accusingly. "Do you even know who she is? Everyone in my circle follows her. Everyone talks about her work." I stayed calm. "Why does it matter who she is? Because you moved on. With someone like her." Selena's voice cracked. "How could you do this to me?" The irony was not lost on me. For almost 2 years I was not good enough to be shown to her world. But now that I was with someone her world admired, suddenly I mattered. "Selena," I said quietly, "you told me I did not fit your aesthetic. You hid me from everyone you know for almost 2 years. You made me feel like I was something to be ashamed of." "I was protecting you," she tried. "My world is complicated. You would not have understood." "No." I shook my head. "You were protecting your image. There is a difference." She cried harder. "I do love you. I really, really do." I looked at her, this woman I had once imagined a future with, and felt something unexpected: peace. Not anger, not bitterness, just a quiet acceptance that this chapter was over. "Maybe you do love me," I said gently. "In your own way. But that is not the kind of love I need. And honestly, it is not the kind of love you deserve to give either." I stood and walked to the door, opening it. "I think you should go." She looked at me, then really looked, perhaps seeing for the first time that I was not the same person who would have done anything to keep her happy. That person was gone. Without another word, she left. That night sleep did not come easily. Not because I missed Selena, but because I was processing everything. The years of trying to be someone I was not, the slow loss of my identity, the painful words that had finally set me free. By morning I felt lighter than I had in years. Haley and I continued seeing each other. When I eventually told her about Selena, about what I had been through, she listened without judgment. When I finished, she simply said, "You deserve someone who is proud to be with you, not someone who treats you like a secret." With Haley, everything was different. She introduced me to her friends by our third date, casually, naturally, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. She posted photos of us together, not because I fit any aesthetic, but because she wanted to share her happiness. This, I realized, was what a relationship should feel like. Looking back now, I understand that my time with Selena taught me something invaluable, even if the lesson came through pain. I learned that my worth is not determined by how many followers I have, or what clothes I wear, or whether I fit into someone else's carefully curated image. My worth comes from my character, my kindness, my authenticity, from the things I create and the love I give. I spent almost 2 years trying to mold myself into someone acceptable. But the truth is, the right person will never ask you to be anyone other than who you already are. If you are watching this, and you are in a relationship where you feel hidden, where you feel like you are not enough, I want you to hear this. That is not love. Love does not hide. Love does not ask you to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's frame. The right person will see your worth without you having to prove it. They will be proud to stand beside you, not because of what you look like or what you can offer their image, but because of who you are at your core. I do not know what the future holds for me and Haley. But I know one thing for certain. I will never again try to become someone else to earn love. Because the moment you have to change who you are to be accepted, you have already lost yourself. And no relationship is worth that price. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone made you feel like you were not enough? How did you find your way back to yourself? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Sometimes a single story can change someone's perspective. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. I hope you walk away from this knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. Take care of yourself, and remember the right people will never make you feel like you need to be anyone other than who you truly are.